Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
It's 1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Honor EP is full out now, second on the outside, and they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Past the Wire 2022 Pegasus World Cup seminar. I am fortunate, and you are all fortunate, to be joined by Tommy Hammer Massis, a dear friend of mine. And I was going to say the best in the game, but I'm gonna tweak that a little and say one of the best in the game. And those of you listening will have to figure out for yourselves why I said one of the best in the game. Hammer, thank you so much for coming on a seminar with us. Much appreciated.
My pleasure, John. And I didn't know you knew my kid brother.
I know a lot of things that people don't know that I know.
I'm sure.
How are you, Hammer?
I'm doing good.
I want to ask you two things about things. First, I want to get your take on the Pegasus, the race itself, and what you think of it. And then I'll ask you, if there's anything else on the card that you're interested in. But first, your take on the Pegasus. I've got my own take on it and how I kind of feel that it's going to unfold. But what are your thoughts on the big two and the other players?
Okay, so when I handicap and you tell me there's going to be two horses that are probably, can go two turns and go 45 and change to the half and that, and they're both, potential front runners. Obviously, I'm looking to bet against them. And having said that, like I can't see these jockeys sitting off each other.
I agree with that. I think Nick's go from the rail is forced to go, barring a bad break. And I don't think Irad could sit there on Life is Good and just let him go. The one thing that I've noticed about Nick's go, and if there's a flaw, this might be it. In his last, several races, the two times that he got a challenge early, once in the Saudi Cup and once in the Met Mile, both times he chucked it. He didn't get it done. So I think if Life is Good goes at him early, he becomes extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, I'll give him, that Saudi Cup is, I think that one you can throw right off, right?
Okay.
And, coming back from the Saudi, that January 5th race, that was, a race where he really looked like he crawled around the track on a fast track. And, I can throw that race out too. I just don't think he was ready for his top effort.
Gotcha.
I'll go down further down. Like I know it's a turf race, like the Commonwealth.
Right.
That course is not, it's the only race he's not on the lead. And I don't know what happened in the Saudi race, if he was on the lead or not.
He wasn't. Charlatan broke well and took it to him early, and he tried to stalk and sit off Charlatan. And
so with Nick's goal, then you just know that if he's not on the front, he's probably not going to beat a horse more likely than win. And then you look at Life is Good. Been on the lead. Every start they have to go. It's not like as if there's a essential quality or Mishriff waiting to pounce on them.
Right.
They got to fear. I don't know if fear is there. A horse like Sir Winston. he's in good form. He can get the distance, but yeah, I wouldn't be scared of Sir Wayne. I don't think they're scared of anyone but themselves.
Yeah, I agree because what's interesting is it looks like the kind of race that gets set up for somebody to come get him if they knock heads early. But when you go down the field, nobody really jumps out and looks like they're good enough. Like you said, there's no Mishriff or Essential Quality or horse of that caliber in there that looks like they are good enough to win. There is one horse that I thought was a little interesting that I'll run by you. And he's kind of been a disappointing horse, but when he was a 3-year-old, I thought he was okay.
Title ready.
No, not title ready. But Dallas Stewart does jump up in these kind of races at big numbers sometimes. But the horse coming out of the sprints that might make a claim for 100,000 endorsed. I don't think that horse wants any part of sprinting. I don't know. He's kind of a hard horse to gauge, but I think coming out of those sprints and now stretching out at a track that he's won at and run a couple of seconds at, I think he could be sitting on a big race coming from off the pace, maybe. Am I crazy?
But I looked down at his mile race at Gulfstream, where he went to the front. Mile on the dirt.
Yeah. He's kind of gone both ways, but I think his best races earlier used to come from off the pace.
Yeah, but I'm only going down on the to October 3rd, 2020.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, I was looking at, believe me, he caught my eye too. And I'm most likely having dinner with Mr. Breen and his wife Friday night. So
okay.
So I got a lot of questions to ask him, whether he's going to level with me or not. But and I was talking to a good friend of theirs, Dominic, and Dominic said, their horse is going to come from the back, maybe pick up the battle, right?
Right.
So you're probably right. It's against the way I handicap on off the pace horse coming off the pace, but yeah, he's bred to run long, man. It's an interesting horse for sure.
Yeah, I thought so. If something fluky is going to happen, I kind of put him into the mix. Now, the next question I'll ask you is: anybody else or any other spots on the card that have caught Hammer's attention that you are up for talking about?
Yes, just give me 1 second. It's in the one I'm really, I'm a huge fan of in the Pegasus World Cup filly and mare, race 9, the mile and the 16th on the turf. Hopefully it's on the turf.
Right, hopefully. I mean, I got to imagine that they're not running on the turf now so they can run on it Saturday no matter what happens. But if they put it on the synthetic.
Well, they ran on the turf today. Those rumors are, and it did sprinkle today, and it's kind of raining a bit now. So you never know down here. So anyways, Lady Spikespear, like, this horse has been nothing short of being a freak at Woodbine. Came up to Gulfstream on the 26th, probably the prep for this race. Totally blew the turn. Very close to wiping out, something real bad happening. How they left this horse up, I have no idea.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, you wipe out the whole field, and the horse tried to re-break again. And I think, Emma Wilson is nowhere near being a bad jockey. She's a real good jockey, but I think she's a more off the pace. I don't think she's as good on the lead. And I love the rider change to Junior Alvarado, who's riding lights out at Gulfstream. And, he's just, to me, honestly, I put him and Irad at Gulfstream above everyone else by 1,000 miles. I know these guys, Sayas and Paco and all these, I call them pumpers, they'll win races there, but I'm a huge fan of Junior Alvarado, and we don't have to say anything about Ira.
Right, and I like Junior a lot as well. I think he's a little bit underrated by a lot of people, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think he's riding great right now, but I'm a fan of his riding as well. And when I looked at that race, the first thing, and again, I agree with you about it, Emma Jane Wilson. I think she's a good rider. But that was the first thing that jumped out at me was the rider switch and that filly's turf form is just, outstanding, as is her breeding, as we know.
Yeah, and the major hurdle though is Safi Joseph's sort of Shifty She, who's another real fast horse, right?
Right.
Having said that, like I don't know. Listen, if I owned one of these two horses, I'd go talk to the other connection and say, let's flip a coin. The winner goes, the loser sits second.
Right. Right.
I've done it in the past.
I know it's happened. I
Yeah.
know.
And it's but having Junior on. Junior's the type of jockey that I think he's going to let that horse go, come outside, sit right there. But I really, really like this horse, man. I think it's a real, and trainer Roger Atfield's probably, I'll say this, throughout his career, I don't think there's been a turf trainer like him, man, like in North America.
Excellent trainer, and been around for a long time now.
For that long. And I remember when he was always came down to Florida and won big races, and Rogers' horses, they just keep getting better and better and better. And I think that last race without the trouble would have been another improvement figure wise and race wise. And
I agree with that, and I think he's one of those remaining old school type of horseman trainers. And I think that most of the guys and girls that fall into that category, their horses do get better over time and improve from meet to meet and season to season. So I think that's pretty consistent with that old school training type of person.
Yeah, and if you look, you can say those races are in Canada, but that Natalma is a 2-year-old winning your Breeders' Cup races, and even though COVID here, it's not really a soft race. So
no, I agree. I agree with that. Those Woodbine races are a lot of times are tougher than they think, and those horses perform well. And I also like the Woodbine course. There are a couple of turf courses that I like horses coming off of, and going to different tracks. One of them is Kentucky Downs. Over the hills, through the meadow, and far away. I mean, I think horses get really fit and come off that course and run well. And another one is Woodbine. I don't know exactly why, but I think horses come off Woodbine and get to firmer, different type of turf courses and really move up and excel. So I like horses that have run well, especially consistently on Woodbine turf, and then go to other meets and run. I think they sometimes get overlooked and are extremely competitive and often move up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this horse has a synthetic win. It's just a flat out runner.
I agree.
And that's it. And can this horse get cooked? Yeah, but that's my this horse loses. I can't possibly. I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to have a bad day if he loses.
Right. No, I understand. And one thing that you and I do have in common is that we both are the type of players that go after our opinion hard. We don't try and use everybody in the race. We go after what we like, and when we win and we're right, we make it count. And when we're not, you dust yourself off and you live to fight another day.
Yep, that's for sure. And you know what? I'm a fan of Roger Atfield. I'm a fan of Woodbine. I'm a fan of this horse. So maybe I gotta kind of calm myself down, but it's not a card. It's a great card, man. I haven't seen a card like this in a while, at Gulfstream or anywhere. It's a real, I'm really impressed with the card. And having said that, it's kind of impossible too. It's not easy.
But those are the kind of cards we like, when they're not easy.
I don't mind, when a guy like me who's betting pick 4s and pick 5s, I like a couple easy legs. Not everything impossible.
Yeah, but
better. So I've already looked. It's going to be like the first 5 races of the card. I'm going to be a fan, I think, and
me too.
It's just too much. It's just really too many horses can win in a lot of these races. So I'm going to I'm not a spot player, but I think this is a day I can spot play and really try to crush this races. I like another long. The only really other horse I like is race 7, and I got to temper my enthusiasm because I made a huge score on this horse January 13th,
Right.
Oriental Trigger. So this is the William L. McKnight Grade 3, 1.5 miles on the turf.
Right.
And I really can't find really, too many in here. Well, I think there's going to be enough speed, and to try to find somebody who finishes at this distance, I don't think it's that easy to find. There's a couple of them, but I can eliminate some for this reason and that reason. Oriental Trigger's first race here in North America is worth watching. This guy bent his elbow at the top of the lane. It looked like he was going to get distance, and this horse just flew. And last time out, he showed some position, and you could just see he was a winner every step of the way. At no point could he lose that race last time other than not finding a path. And going down and looking at that Saint Leger Argentina or Chile race, the Spanish Saint Leger,
Right.
1 3/8. This horse came from the back, finished fourth. The 3 horses that beat him had 10 lengths on him at the top of the stretch. He was the only one really coming. So the distance isn't a question. The only question for me is he as good on the turf? He got beat a neck and, in the Gustavo Rivera Stakes, right?
Right.
But, is he going to like the turf? I don't think it'll really matter. I think this horse might be boxcars again. And, third start, I think, basically off for 9 months, third start of this form cycle. If he improves off that last race, he might really belong in here.
No argument. I really haven't dissected that race yet, but you're one of the few opinions in this game that when you talk about a horse, I pay attention. There's not many people that can get my attention when they talk horses. You're one of the few. Hammer, and everybody watching the seminar, we're lucky to have Tommy Hammer Massis with us. He is a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge champion, which in my opinion speaks a lot louder about handicapping and betting and talent attacking this game than the NHC does. I mean, that's a true contest for those contest players. Hammer is a winner of it. $1 million pick sixes, pools, 6-figure scores all over the place. Truly one of the sharpest players to ever play this game. And those of you that read Past the Wire and know me for a long time know I don't throw those accolades out at really anybody. So Hammer, thank you so much for coming on. You're always, you know how I feel about you. So thanks for coming on, and hopefully I'll see you Saturday. Oh, you're not going to be there Saturday. You're going to be somewhere else.
No, you know what? I don't know now. I don't know.
Right.
It's a coin flip. I left the track today saying to myself I was going to go, and then I got home, and now I'm saying I'm not going to go. So in other words, I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Listen, it must be something with us players, because I'm all set to go, ready to go, everything all set up as if I was going, and I could get up Friday morning or Saturday morning to say, you know what, I ain't going, forget about it, So I'm going, but I'm also hedging and on the fence a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So if we wind up there, if we both wind up there, I will see you on Saturday.
All right, John. Thanks for having me.
No, Hammer, thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time and always appreciate your insight. Always a pleasure.
And I'll tell my brother what you think of him.
Tell him. Ciao for now, my friend.
Later.
Later. Okay, we're ready to continue. Thanks, Hammer. One of the things I want to say before we really get started is this. And I think it's a good day to use this example. And those of you who are Tracking Trips members will know this about me. When I say Tracking Trips is kind of, a second set of trained eyes, that's kind of what I like it to be. And one of the observations I think is good to make on this card, especially in the Pegasus, you've got two horses that look like they're heads and tails above the rest of the field, and Knicks Go and Life is Good. But we all know that the best horse doesn't always win the race. And, they still got to run the race. I mean, does anybody think that Keen Ice was in American Pharaoh's league? I certainly don't, but he beat him up at Saratoga. One of the reasons that happens, and one of the things that a lot of people overlook is, they try and figure out who's the fastest, who's the best, who's, coming up to the race good, who's going to win. And that's how they kind of deduce, their pick or their opinion. And a lot of people expect horses to do exactly what they did the last time, like they're machines. I don't look at races that way. I watch a lot of replays and I try and look at it. Okay, what's going to happen this time? And one of the things that helps me envision that, so to speak, and I think Gio does this as well, is I try and paint a picture in my mind, like almost a movie, almost a replay of the race of how they're going to run, who's going to be where at which time and at which point in the race. And a lot of races, so many more races than you think. And I'm going to use examples today. There are a couple of horses that I like on the card, not because I'm going to tell you they're the best horse or they're the fastest horse. I'm just thinking that they're going to get the right trip and be in the right spot to win. And I think that's a crucial thing when you really analyze races, especially these big stake races on big days. Try and figure out who's going to be where at every point in the race. That's something I do. That's why it takes me so long to handicap a card, and I can only do maybe 1 or 2 tracks in a day. It just takes me a couple hours to do a card or do a pick 4 or 5 or pick 6 sequence, because I look at everything and I think you have to do that. I don't think there are any shortcuts in this game. You don't want to show up to a gunfight with a knife. You want to be prepared. You don't want to beat yourself by not doing your homework and not really being prepared. You're playing with money. You know what I mean? And you're playing against the other people. So on a day like Pegasus Day or Derby Day or Breeders' Cup Day or Travis Day or Belmont Day, you got a lot of people just fooling around, recreational money. It's our chance, the serious players, to take advantage of that. You know what I mean? And capitalize on it. And one of the ways I think you can do that is by not necessarily looking for, quote, the best horse. We're looking for the best horse today. And sometimes that's determined by the trip they're going to get or how the race is going to unfold in your mind. And I always say the best opinion you can have is not mine, not Gio's, not even Hammer's, not anybody's. It's your own. I'm a second set of eyes, somebody to bounce off, somebody to tell you what I think, try and, I could be very instrumental in telling people how to bet, because you got 3 elements. You got to be able to handicap, you got to be able to structure bets, and you got to know how to manage your money. And 2 out of 3 is no good. 1 out of 3 is a disaster. 0 for 3, you're in the wrong game. But you have to be able to do all 3 of those things. And that's where somebody like myself, who's been doing this a long time and successfully, can be a big help. So we'll get right into it now. We'll run through the card. We'll try and make it fast. I know Gio has got a little bit of Pegasus history to tell us. I've been to all the Pegasus, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then I think this is the 6th. I think I missed the last one because of the pandemic. But I was at the very first one. I think Arrogate won that one. Right? That was Arrogate won the first one, right, Gio?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was at that one.
John, I'm busting to speak, so let me get
started. Go ahead. Go.
First thing first, I'll echo what you said. Everybody on this panel, it is imperative to, like John said, he knows I do it. You've got to typecast every single race that you look at, paint the picture, realize all the contributing factors, how big the field is, what are the conditions, what each horse has done in all races prior to the race. There's so many contributing factors and things you must put in. It's not just who's the favorite, who's getting the most money, or, you know, what are the expectations of a horse to win on paper. Anyway, to talk a little about the history, because I'm busting to talk about it, you know, it's fantastic for all of us horse players to have the Pegasus. Think about this. It's the, you know, the Breeders' Cup is long gone from November, the first week in November. And we know we're all looking forward to the spring with the 3-year-old campaign, you know, the Triple Crown and all the prep races prior to that. So March and April are very active, leading to the first Saturday in May. But here we are in January. In the last 5 years, the history's been phenomenal. Like John had mentioned, Arrogant won in smashing in a smashing display the first year in 2017. So this is the 6th year of the existence of this race and Pegasus Day as a whole. And if you could remember, California Chrome went into that race as the main competitor against Arrogant, because he was a great old horse, but he ran flat. He had nothing that day. He hung like a chandelier in the stretch, and Arrogant ran away with it. And California Chrome wasn't even second. So those are the things that can happen. Then the next year, Gunrunner went. And Gunrunner is one of my favorite horses of all time. He's been a fabulous sire. If you can remember, it brought Florent Garou on the map because he rode him and he made a lot of money with him. If you can remember, he was chased down the stretch by West Coast, a horse that was very good as a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. And he pulled away even more so then. And Stephen Asmussen had a real monster in Gunrunner. And then after that, by the way, the purse started off at 12 million, then it went to 6 million, then it went back up to 9 million when City of Light. If you can remember that day, the Pegasus in 2019, it was a soup bowl. It was sloppy as hell. It was raining, stormy, daytime looked like nighttime. And City of Light beat Accelerate. You know how I know that? Because Accelerate was 3-2, and Mr. Sette had a lot of money on Accelerate, because I didn't think he was going to lose. All right, Accelerate was my favorite horse, one of my favorite horses that year. And when City of Light ran away, I was tearing up my ticket early. That was 2019. And then in 2020, I just going to look at one of my notes here. Mucho Gusto, when Bob Baffert brought that horse from the West Coast, Mucho Gusto with Irad dominated another horse that won by convincing lengths. I think it was 4, 5, or 6 lengths. And if you watch that race on replay, he was brilliant in his approach. He broke well, got the lead, relaxed the horse, saved room on the rail, and ran him down in the stretch and drew clear by 5. And then lastly, the last year, Knicks Go. We're going to talk a lot about it. Knicks Go is going to repeat. He's going to attempt to repeat. I don't like him. I think he's going to be defeated. But he won last year in a cakewalk, wire to wire. And we're going to get into that later. So that's all the history I want to share regarding the Pegasus. If you have some time, seriously, go watch that City of Light race and watch Gunrunner. And just remember how all things leading to the race may not come out, because a lot of horses are trying the soil for the first time.
Well, you know, it is an interesting race. They've changed the purse structure. They've changed the way you get in. You used to have to buy a spot to get in. And, you know, the good thing about it is it brings together a matchup like, you know, Knicks Go and Life is Good, that we probably wouldn't get without a race like the Pegasus. You know, it's doubtful they both go to Dubai or they both go to Saudi. So it's kind of nice. But we've got a couple of nice races leading up to that. The first of which is the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf, which is at 1 1/16 on the grass, obviously. But I have one question, and I know Gulfstream, they're a little funny with the distances, and we never really know how long the races are or where the rail is or, you know, what the run up is. But I don't know why they made this race 1 1/16 as opposed to 1 1/8. It's just a head scratcher to me. But we played a hand that we're dealt. I'll run through the field real quick, let you know what my thoughts are, and then Gio will let you know who he likes as well. And we'll take questions when we're done. Sweet Melania, I don't know. You know, way back when I thought she was going to be a really, really nice filly. She looks to me like she didn't develop as good as she could have. She's got some pace. She should get a nice trip on the rail with Luis Saez. I don't think she's going to be able to clear and go wire to wire here. I'm going to take a stand against her with the one race off the layoff. I don't know. Again, she's been a little bit of a disappointment to me. There's others I like better in here. Wakanaka was not able to watch any of this filly's replays in Italy. Bill Mott brings her here. I don't know. I would have to see more from her. I think, the Italian horses, every once in a while, one turns out good out of Italy, but for the most part, they're a little bit, maybe a cut below some of the better horses here and in other parts of the world. Lady Spite Spear, the horse that Hammer loves, I have no argument against. I think she's an absolute must use. If you watch her last race, she jumped tracks or jumped out. The jockey switch, like I said, jumped out. No knock on Emma Jane Wilson. She's a good rider, but she's not Junior Alvarado. I don't think that this filly needs the lead to win. I think she can go or sit. There's a lot of speed, so I think she's going to be sitting. And speed's been okay on the Gulfstream turf. They're not running on it a lot. It's hard. It's firm, even with the weather and the rain. It's going to be cold all weekend, cold for Florida, so it's colder than everybody's used to down here. And I think that makes the turf even a little bit more hard, a little bit more firm sometimes. And I think that's the case. Lady Spite Spear is a must use in my opinion, off the jockey change alone. Regal Glory, going to be the favorite, legitimate favorite. It's Chad Brown, and if you're a sheep player and you look at thoroughbraves, she's consistently faster or as fast as anybody in here. And Chad doesn't keep horses around for nothing. She's 6 now. She's been good for a long time. He keeps them good when they get good. And she's another one who can go or sit. I think she's going to sit and revert back. And one thing I like a lot, as far as angles, I like horses that go to the lead that are not necessarily, barn burning, front running speed horses. And she did that last time and won. And then I like them coming back and reverting back to their preferred style, which is off the pace, which is she is going to do. So to me, unlike Hammer, Regal Glory is also a must use. So the 3 and 4 are must uses in my book. Gift List is certainly not hopeless. Has the look of a horse that can step up. She's got 3 7s this year on thoroughbrave. She's going to have to run significantly faster than that in order to win here. Can she? I think she's got an improving pattern. I don't like her, but I wouldn't talk anybody out of her. I'm not going to use her. Alms is a horse that Joel Rosario rides. I don't think she's as good as some of the better ones in here. I'm going to pass on her as well. Joel can sometimes get hot and surprise you, but I'm going to pass on her. Nisus is a horse that I bet at Del Mar on November 25th and made a big move. And I was counting the money. I thought she was I thought she had it. I thought I was home at 6 or 7 to 1, whatever it is. And the tracking trip members might remember that. I liked her that day and made a decent bet on her. I think she's still coming around. I think she still has upside. I think that she's a must use for me. I'm going to give her a pass in the grade 1 American Oaks, which came off the turf. Queen Goddess ran big, but this is a grass horse. This is a turf horse. I wish it was longer. I think she's going to like the longer distance, but again, I see plenty of pace and stalking in here, and I think she's going to be a little further back than she has been in the last 2 starts anyway. Tyler is riding good. He's a strong finisher. I think she's coming late. Must use. So there's 3 in here for me that are must uses. I'm against Summer in Saratoga. Can she win? Yeah, I just think she's a cut below and has been running with horses that are a cut below. She does like to win and has run well on some tough racetracks against some tougher allowance fields, but not as good as the better ones here. Hammer like Shifty She as the second competitor, in his opinion, to the horse he likes, Lady Spitespear. I don't agree. I think she kind of gets caught up in the pace. I will say that this jockey, Irvin Gonzalez, is one of my personal favorite riders that you get a price on at Gulfstream. I think he's riding great and making the most of his opportunities, and he's deadly, and I like betting on him. But I just don't think he has the horse here. She's consistent, she's good, but you know, Regal Glory beat her, Sweet Melania beat her, and I think that they'll, you know, be able to beat her again. Had a hard time tossing In a Hurry, only because of the way I see the pace. Again, not the best horse, another one that doesn't look as good or as fast as a lot of these, but I think the winner is going to come from off it, and you know, she's one that can be you know, running late, but I just couldn't get to her. I wanted to, I tried to, but I couldn't. So I wouldn't knock if you use her, especially now that I said that, because we know how horses can humble everybody. One horse that I am going to use is Bipartisanship, who won at a big price last time despite trouble. Now comes back in this spot from a dreadful post, but going to drop way back with Paco and make him run again. Why not? Graham Motion can go forward, no question about it. I think that she's a must use. So for me, this is the first leg of the pick four. I will be using 3 horses, 3, 4, 7, and 11. One of them win, I'm alive. One of them doesn't win, I'm not alive. So that's kind of how I see that race. If you back me in a corner, top choice, I would be between Lady Spitespear and Nicest. Those are the 2 I think are sitting on significant forward moves. Regal Glory is good, but she's steady. She's just going to do her thing. And Bipartisanship, I'm not sold on the post, and I'm not sold she's as good as the other 2. But I wouldn't let her beat me after winning off the troubled trip and having what I think is a potential forward move under her belt. But she's going to have to run faster and better than she did last time to win. So that's kind of how I see it. How I play, most of you know that already, is I'll use those 4 horses on a pick 4 ticket. Then I'll go back, my go back ticket, and play a second pick 4 ticket, the money shot, with only Lady Spitespear and Nicest. And that's how I see Pegasus World Cup filly and Mare Turf. Gio, how do you see this one?
All right, nice job, John. And I got a lot to add to that, and some in agreement and some against both you and what Hammer said. Hey, everybody, this is the start of the pick 4. It is an extremely competitive field aside from one horse. So when I first inked this up and I completed my handicap, my film study, because believe me, this is a type of race, because there's so many horses that are going to come off the pace. I want to know which horses consistently have that big run, that sharp turn of foot, the ones that, you know, with a good ride can get eyeballed and pass other horses in a stretch. So I'm going to run down the field for you as well. And then I'll share with you who I feel you must use in the pick 4 as well. Remember, it's an 11-horse field. In my opinion, 7 of the 11 have the talent, performance-wise, and from an improvement perspective, to win the race. But who I feel ready, of course, I'm not going to kiss all the girls. I'm going to let you know who I like most. All right. So on the rail, you got Sweet Melania. Listen, every time Luis Saez has got a horse that's going to be a front runner, there's going to be some danger with the horse, you know, a competitive nature, if you will. The horse is 10 for 13 on the weeds, has made the distance before. Daddy was American Pharaoh. It's a nice mare, but I'm going to choose others. But in my opinion, because of the presence of Sweet Melania, that mare on the lead or near the lead, in terms of being tactical, got to use her in the pick 4s, because you don't want to get beat just in case somebody else doesn't perform, and I'm going to get into that. Wakanaga, John, you made some good points. One of the things I want to see in a horse making his U.S. debut, this horse raced only in Italy. Okay, not only how the horse performed, but how consistent the horse was. And one thing that caught my eye with this horse is that he took in an insane amount of money. He was bet every single time out. The horse is 6 for 8 winning, 8 for 8 in exactas. Bill Mott's the trainer. Hold on, what happened to my video? Can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Bill Mott, you know Bill Mott, he's going to have his horse ready. Now, I don't like him to win, but in my opinion, with Rispoli aboard, based on his workout pattern, making his debut, 8 for 8 on the weeds, winning 6, albeit against cheaper. If this horse comes in well off the trip, he's going to be a horse that's going to be anywhere between 12 and 20 to 1, and he could really spike up your superfecta boxes or your deeper gimmicks. The 3 that Hammer really liked and Johnny endorsed, I too feel he needs to be used in your pick 4s. He's my 4th choice in the race. Nice consistency with his buyers, has the tactical speed you want. He won a grade 1 and a grade 2 in Canada. His daddy was a sprinter, both on dirt and the turf, Speightstown. A lot of good things. I just think that he's a little lightly raced to go in a race of this magnitude. One of the things I look at in a horse's behavior is he winning in what size fields? And this horse ran in fields of 9, 8, 8, 7, and 10 when he had his maiden. There's a lot of tigers in this race who ran in some big fields against some monster horses, a lot of seasoned mares. I just think that may work against the horse. A contender must use in a pick 4, but I'm not playing that horse in the exactas. Now I'm going to get to my top choice, Regal Glory. And by no means am I a favorite picker. You know me. If I'm passionate and I like a horse for many reasons, and he's 43 to 1, I'm going to have him on top. In this case, Regal Glory, he's got the numbers. You got Jose Ortiz for Chad Brown. It's a six-year-old mare who all she does is run the race that she's asked to run every single time. She made the distance. She's 13 for 16 in exactas. She's a grade 1 winner. It's very difficult for me to toss or not say, hey, I like this horse the most, when Jose Ortiz is going to have the ability to have the horse positioned precisely where he wants her to be. And I think that's going to be about 2 or 3 off with a lot of room. And the horse just has the propensity constantly to close on fields and emerge victorious. Going to number 5, Gift List. This is one of the horses I tossed. 3 USA races, does finish on the weeds, lighter company. The horse had a mark of a horse that's a lower caliber. You can't kiss all the girls. The works, I was impressed with one work that was 57 and 1 Breezin'. I highlighted that. And Julian LePeroux knows how to ride on the weeds. I just can't use her against this field. But I did notice those what she brought into the race. Rosario's on an interesting horse, the 6. And I always concentrate more when I see Rosario's on a horse. But in this case, and by the way, Michael Stettin, he's the top-notch trainer. That barn wins. But in this case, again, this is clearly a horse that his buyer numbers are lesser than the field. He's been beaten soundly by a few horses in this race. He got burnt by Sweet Millennia, In a Hurry, and Shifty She. So again, I have to toss a few. And even though it's hard for me to toss a Rosario up for Michael Stettin, I have to do that in this block. Okay, I'm going to go on to number 7, Gaffleone and Nisus. This is an improving filly, 4-year-old filly, also raced in Europe, 4 races in the US, just won 1 of them. So I questioned her heart. The grade 1 she just came out of was nice. It was an off the turf, a nice run. I wanted to see a little more. I think maybe she needed another race before she went into this race. I don't see her being comfortable with the distance. I think she needs more distance. I'm questioning her beginning. I think she's going to have a hard time getting into the mix late in the race. Summer in Saratoga, the 8 horse. Now, Johnny had mentioned her but I think he failed to mention one thing. This is the daughter of Hard Spun. Corey Lannery's been very, very consistent on this mare, and Joe Sharp could flat out train. But one thing I liked, and I swear to you, if you go to the video, and one thing I do, I watch a hell of a lot of replay. If you look at Summer in Saratoga, the way this horse turns on the jukes with room, the horse closes effortlessly. Now, Johnny made a good point. She's beaten lesser company, but in my opinion, she's definitely a bona fide grade 3 or grade 2 horse. And remember, we're not going for big peanuts here. This is a grade 3. So I think she's got the talent. I certainly trust Joe Sharp. I like the way Corey Lannery handles the horse. And I had this horse second in my exacta, going for a shot under the 4. My key exacta is 4.8, and I'm using the horse in my pick 4s. Let me round out the rest of the field. I agree with Johnny on Shifty She and Edwin Gonzalez's talent. He's riding very well. The horse had a very solid 21, was off for, I believe, a year. Yeah, missed the entire 2020 campaign, came back running. You like to see that. There's some tactical speed. I just think speed is going to get chewed up in this race. I really believe it. And the only horse that's going to be on the lead that's going to be able to sustain it and overcome that is the 4 with Jose Ortiz. Regal Glory. That's why, favorite or not favorite, I'm not getting past Regal Glory. I think the most probable winner, and I'm using my 8 for second in a strong exacta. I'm going to finish up with the bottom 2. In a Hurry was interesting. Castellano for Shug always makes me think and look a little harder. Horse has been methodically improving. When you see a 5-year-old mare improving, she may be sitting on a good race. So I'm going to use this 10 in my pick 4s and in my superfecta box. Lastly, the bottom horse by partnership, Paco Lopez. I did agree with John, capable of big run late. When I looked at her on tape, the turn of foot was nice. I think she's definitely going to need room. Remember, a 4-year-old facing older horses. These are pretty good mares. Very worked with. There's some grade 2 mares running in a grade 3. So I couldn't kiss all the girls, so I'm not going to use the 11. And there you got it. That's my rundown of this race.
Hey, fair enough. I think we have one question. We may have more. Hold on. We've got, oh, Gio addressed it. Okay, good. Management farms on a rate of 410, 100% into money. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the filly and mare Pegasus turf? Okay, we'll move on to the next race, which I happen to like, and might be where I wind up taking a single. I like the 8 Speaker's Corner quite a bit in this race, and part of the reason is trip and how I think the race is going to run and where I think that he is going to be. I love that draw on the outside going a mile. I think that he ran a really, really good race last time out on the lead around 2 turns at Aqueduct to a very, very good horse, Miles D. That's probably going to run in the Dubai World Cup or the Saudi Cup, or at least is under consideration by Chad Brown for one of those 2 races. So that's how good they think Miles D is. And Miles D is a horse I thought had a shot in the Travers, even though he was very lightly raced and inexperienced, then ran a very, very credible race. Speaker's Corner was always well thought of, and you know that by seeing him go off 65 cents to $1 at Saratoga first time out for Bill Mott, who's not really known as a first time out trainer, although he does win with his share of first time starters, and I think that's a bad label that he gets. Bill Mott can flat out train and has been doing it for a long time and can win with anything. But for a horse to get bet like that, somebody liked him. he can do whatever he wants from out there. He's probably going to stalk and sit off the pace, move it, what I think will be the right time into this race. I'll run down the field quick because we're taking a long time, but there's one or two that I'm a little leery of, and I'll tell you who they are, but I'm probably going to wind up singling Speaker's Corner and taking my shot there. And I may single another horse as well, but we'll get to that. Fearless is dangerous. Very interesting horse. Had speed in its first couple of starts. Then for a while lost all his speed and used to come from way out of it. Now he seems to have found himself and is going the right way. Loves Gulfstream, 4 for 5. Saez. I don't think this is a race where you're going to get a bomb. But he's definitely one that I wouldn't knock anybody for respecting and fearing, especially if Todd's having one of his hot days, because Pletcher wins races in bunches, and when he starts winning on the card, he usually keeps winning all day. Payne, I'm not sure wants to go this far. I think is a couple low anyway, and I'm going to pass on him altogether. Bon Raison, I don't think wants to go this far, and is also in a cut below in my opinion. Officiating, another one I can't get to, is 2 for 3 at Gulfstream. Likes the racetrack, but I don't think he's up to this challenge yet. Chivalry is not as good as these in my opinion. Liam is an interesting horse. I think he's one to fear. I'm probably not going to use him, but again, it's Pletcher and Irad. They only had this horse for one start off a very long layoff, over a year, 14-month layoff from Remington Park. Comes and runs a fast mile, 23:45 and change, 109 and change, 134 and change at 6 to 5, first time for Pletcher. A little scary, especially if he gets out on the lead and gets brave. One to fear. So the two that I fear are the 2 Pletcher horses. The next one I fear a little bit, and if I was spreading, is the other one I was looking at, is Dennis's Moment. Dennis's Moment is coming out of 4 sprints, now stretching out to a mile. I don't think he wants to sprint, even though he won that race at Keeneland sprinting. I think he does want to go long. This, if you remember, was the horse that Dale Romans was telling everybody was going to win the Kentucky Derby, and he was all this, and he was all that, and he was all hyped. Then he stumbled really bad at the Breeders' Cup. I was there at Santa Anita that day. He was eliminated at the start. He had no shot, but I didn't use him that day. I didn't think he was going to win, even if he didn't stumble at 4 to 5. I'd never been a believer in him, but I do think stretching out off those sprints, he might be sharp. Speaker's Corner, I said, I think is absolutely the horse to beat, and is going to be tough to get past. Girolamo's Attack. He did beat Fearless, but I think Fearless needed that race. He's not for me. So I definitely like Speaker's Corner, top choice, potential single. If I was spreading, which I am not, I would use the 1, 6, 7, and 8. Those are the 4 that I think could win. But I'm going to take my stand with Speaker's Corner and see if I could ride him to the wire. Gio, thoughts?
Yeah, nicely done, John. And we're going to like this, fellas, because John and I, we dig down deep. And I tell him in private conversations, when we agree on a horse, we got to feel it and we got to go deeper. And when I broke down this race, I couldn't get past Speaker's Corner as well. 2 points about the horse. I'm confident Bill Mott's going to have the horse ready. I trust Junior Alvarado, and his last 2 just spectacular. And prior to that, in the Pennsylvania Derby, the horse, think about it. They ambitiously placed him in a race against Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, and that whole group of 3-year-olds. I think the horse is fit, ready. I can't find any scenario where the horse wouldn't be on the lead or right off the lead. And based on the prior numbers, I see the horse drawing clear maybe by 2 or 3. The only question mark I felt was, and that's where it goes back to trusting Bill Mott. There's a horse is making his first start since Thanksgiving, you know, and but I don't think it's a long way off. I think the horse is primed for a big effort, and I think he'll show up. So I like Speaker's Corner as well. In fact, I came up with an ice cold exacta, triple, and superfecta. One that I will not deviate from. I may put in a key on my superfecta because, you know, one of my horses may be a half a length or a length off. My cold exacta, and like I said, I'm not pitching favorites. I have to go with where my mind and my gut feeling goes and how I handicap, film study, pedigree, past performance analysis, and that picture that I'm painting before the race. Fearless. That's my second choice. John had mentioned 5 for 5 at Gulfstream Park and exactas. You get Sayaz, you got speed, you got the tactical numbers. Pletcher's going to have the horse ready. There's no, unless he takes a bad break or a stumble, he should be right there as they circle around for the mile. And the horse is proven to have enough last at the distance because he's 2 for 2 at the distance as well. So Fearless is my second choice. I am going to use Fearless in my pick fours. I'm not singling Singles Corner, but Sneaker's Corner. But Sneaker's Corner is definitely a extremely difficult horse to go past in this race. My third choice, I'm going to the 9. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Hold on. Girolamo's Attack. Safi, Jose Ortiz for Safi. Hear me on this. I always look at not just the last 3 races, the last 4 races. I go way back to their beginning and I see the progression. This is a horse who ran with cheaper, but what I saw in 2021, the horse sort of reinvented himself. He became much more tactical. He was faster. He was hungrier, and he took to the mile. So his last, you got to put a line through. He got tons of money at the window. It was on the Gulfstream Park soil. He ran a bad race, but he was bumped, and the horse was just, the form says he lost position. The horse just didn't have it that day. So I just think this horse is going to be ready to contend. That's why it's most likely my third choice in my cold triple. I may use him in an exacta as well as a saver, but I like Speaker's Corner, Fearless, and Girolamo's Attack. And my fourth choice in a race for you superfecta players, if you want to go with something ice cold, like a nice and juicy $10 superfecta cold, I'm going with the 2 horse. Hold on. Let me turn a page. Pain. Now, broke it down, made for the distance. I trust Rispoli. Again, on the improve after a bad race, and I like what he did at Aqueduct in his mile races back in 2019 and 2020. If he goes back to that form at a big price, he's going to fill the super or the triple. Horse is not out of it. He's cheaper, but think about it. When a horse wins after a 7-month layoff for fun, now they ambitiously put him into a grade 3. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. I'm not going to let him beat me at a price. I don't know if I'm going to use him in my pick fours because Speaker's Corner and Fearless sort of stand out, but he's going to be in my bottom gimmicks for certain. Everybody else I threw out. I'm going to save time and not even go. I'll take a question if you like anybody else in the race. I'll tell you why I don't like them.
Am I seeing? Okay, we got a couple of questions. Love the analysis, Gio. Blah blah blah. Okay. Jonathan, are you seeing any type of dirt track bias? The dirt races seem to be neutral from 7 to a mile. I agree. You know, I watch Gulfstream every day. I don't really see any bias. But the thing about that, you know, and I talk a lot about biases and false biases, you know, and true biases. that's how they've been playing now. That could change come Saturday. You know, Saturday they may scrape the track, add water to it, pack it, this, that, whatever they do, and you know, soup it up, make it really, really fast. And you may see a bias come Saturday. Right now it's honest. I'm hoping it plays honest on Saturday. Gulfstream, when it does get a bias, unless it's a muddy, soupy kind of track, when it does get a bias, it's usually, you know, speed oriented and very speed friendly. But hopefully the track will play fair on Saturday. Any other questions on the Fred Hooper? Okay, we'll move to the Pegasus World Cup turf. Maybe my favorite betting race on the card on Saturday. I like a horse a lot. That's you know, 10-1 on the morning line. Probably going to be a little less than that, maybe 7 or 8 to 1. And there's a potential, and I say potential not to be evasive, but you know, these type of seminars and even tracking trips and anytime I'm on a show or anything, and people say, I'm the kind of bettor where I've got a plan and I've got an idea and I've done my homework, but a lot of times I don't decide what exactly I'm going to do until 30 seconds before the last horse loads in the gate, you know. And you know, that's just the way that I play. So it's not that I'm being evasive or cold shouldering anybody. Sometimes it's just sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. You know, I like the 9 Field Pass a lot, and it's a potential major wager for me. What will determine that is how the day is going, you know, how I'm watching things, how, you know, things are playing out, because, you know, everything factors into that. But, you know, 2 days out, I could say is a very, very strong possibility that, you know, Field Pass will be a horse I make a very major wager on and look to make a big score on. And I will tell everybody why. I'll give a quick rundown of the field. Space Traveler, nice horse, not this good in my opinion, would need a career best. Atone is Mike Maker, you know, an improving horse, dangerous, big price, long shot. I would say, you know, has a chance. Flavia, you know, Michael Ivarone bought this horse from Chad Brown. You know, Mike Maker wins with these horses, but it's very tough to improve a horse from Chad. I don't know, you know, decent horse, always seemed to cut below to me, always seemed like never really delivered. Is he going to beat me on Saturday? I don't know, maybe. I don't think so. March to the Arch, horse that I made a big score on one day, but I don't think he's, you know, good enough to handle this type. And I think his best distance is a little shorter than this anyway, maybe a mile and 16. Hit the Road, I thought was dangerous. Really liked the way he was working, I thought. But then, you know, the more of his replays I watched and the more of his works that I watched and the more that I just kind of deep dove into the race and him, I decided, you know what? I don't like him as much as I thought I did. Colonel Liam, I respect him. He won this race last year in a dead heat with domestic spending. Domestic spending kicked his butt the time after that, and I think that race took a lot out of him. And there's no doubt that domestic spending was by far the fastest turf horse in the United States and maybe the world last year. And we would have seen that and on Breeders' Cup Day had he not scratched. Those of you that were on the Breeders' Cup webinar know that was absolutely going to be a major, major wager for me. And I don't think that he could have lost. And I know Chad Brown didn't think he was going to lose either because he said so on the show. I had a one-on-one show with him and we talked about it. And, you know, he was like, I don't care who comes from anywhere. You know, he didn't think they were going to beat his horse. So if Colonel Liam was good enough to run that horse to a dead heat in this race last year, he's awfully good, even though, you know, that race seemed to set him back and he hadn't run back since, you know, he ran back into Manhattan, but didn't run back again until now. Pletcher's been pointing him for here. I respect him, but I think Field Pass got a little bit of an edge on him, you know, comes Saturday. And we'll see. Doswell is another one I respect. He's one who went wire to wire, and now I think will revert back to a more preferred running style or a different running style coming off the pace. And I told you, I like that. I like that angle of horses that show speed, and then the next time you know, come off the pace. And when we get to Field Pass, we'll talk about that. Sacred Life, I respect anything Chad runs in any graded stake race. He doesn't run them if they don't have a shot, so I respect him. Field Pass handled him. He handled Field Pass, but I think Field Pass is sitting on the race tomorrow because of how I think the race is going to run. I just think he's going to be sitting right off the speed, third, fourth on the outside, out of trouble. Rock solid horse, 1-for-1 at Gulfstream Park. Fresh, wins all over the place, perfect distance, perfect trip. And if you look at him in the Knickerbocker, he went to the lead. He didn't quite win. Sacred Life nailed him. But next time out, he reverts to more of his preferred style, stalking, sitting a little off the pace. And guess what? He turns the tables on Sacred Life and wins. We know he likes the course. He's 1-for-1. Umberto is an excellent rider on the turf. As good as anybody in the country on the turf, in my opinion. He's hungry for these big races, and I think he's on the horse to beat. And I think there's enough speed to set it up for him, sitting off the pace and making a run. And the other thing, if you watch Umberto ride, he does something that John Cruget used to do years ago, and a lot of riders do. Not a lot of riders do, but it's a very effective move, especially on the turf, but even on the dirt. And he did it last week. I wish I could remember the horse's name, but he did it about a year and a half ago, on a horse in a graded stake out at Santa Anita. And he got the horse into the Breeders' Cup because he won. But a lot of times they'll be on the backstretch in California, and you'll watch, and he's sitting off the pace. And when everybody's sitting, waiting, he'll make his move before the half-mile pole on the backside and go from 5th or 6th or 8th, right up on the outside, right to the lead, and take it to them right then and try and win the race. And I can envision him making one of those early moves with Field Pass and putting them in there early, and you know, just to outride everybody with that early Umberto Rispoli move that I love, and he's very effective at. Channel Cat, dangerous, you know, his best race can win this for sure, but you know, I like Rosario on horses with speed or off the pace. A lot of people only like him off the pace, but I like Field Pass better. Cross Border, I think, you know, even though he won last time at Turf Paradise, I kind of think he lost a step. I know he won the race at Saratoga, but that was way back in July, you know, and I was starting to get concerned. He lost a step then, but he, you know, he did wake up. I'm going to pass on him, and I'm going to pass on Never Surprise from the outside with I think speed to go with him and keep him honest. So I like Field Pass. I'm probably going to take 2 tickets, you know, to go back ticket where Field Pass will be a single. Field Pass is a horse I'm probably going to bet separate than everything, just on my own. Bet to win, bet exactas, bet supers. How I attack those bets, most of you know that already. I'll bet a horse to win. I'll bet a horse on top of exactas. I don't reverse. I'll bet the horses for second and third in the triple, and then I'll just put all in the 4th slot in the super. So I'll have 1 with 3 with all, and 1 with 3 like a key in the triple. But most of you know that already. If you have any questions when we're done with the race about how I structure those bets, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I will probably have 2 tickets on the pick 4 or the pick 5 or pick 6, whatever I decide to go after. 1 with only Field Pass that I'll punch. So it would be back-to-back singles with Speaker's Corner and Field Pass. And then maybe I'll take a second ticket, and I'll respect Colonel Liam. I'll respect Doswell, and maybe I'll respect Sacred Life because I don't want to let Chad beat me in a race like this. So I may have you know, a more spread ticket with those horses, but Field Pass is a horse that I like a lot on Saturday, and I think is sitting on a good race and is going to be in the right spot to get it done. What do you think, Gio?
Hey, again, John, nicely. I kind of gobble up and absorb everything you're saying, and I kind of replay my thoughts. And what I'm going to do for everybody now, I'm going to go through the entire field from 1 through the 12 hole. I'll elaborate more. You'll know it, the horses I like, and I'll give you my final order of finish. One thing I'll say, John, in my opinion, as a starter, yeah, last race at Speaker's Corner, I could definitely see him being used as a single, even though I'm going to use Fearless. But in this race, the first thing I wrote in the top of my form is, my gosh, a head scratcher. What a competitive field. This is the type of race. You don't see many grade ones that just reek of a potential $125 exacta, $800 triple, potential $3,000 super, because you got a lot of good horses improving, racing well. They're going to be at square odds because, in my opinion, the public's going to lean on 2 or 3 in the race. All right, here we go. Let's start off with the one on the rail. Wasn't for me. Horse originated in Europe, has 4 races in the States, hasn't won at the distance, likes the weeds. They're putting a mask on him, so you get blinkers. I like the works, but when you have a 1 horse and you're a deep closer, you need a very fortuitous trip. You need an excellent ride, and you just need too much to go your way. So I'm putting a line through the 1. With all due respect to Spencer, I wouldn't even take this horse if it had IRAD OTs on him, and I love IRAD OTs. The number 2 is a Tone. Interestingly enough, let me make sure I got my paper in order. Yeah, this horse, I spent a little time on him, stepping up, improving, likes the weeds, 8 out of 10 in the money, working well, consistent breezes. Mike Maker not only has this horse, and he's got 4 in the race. I always like Into Mischief horses. 250,000 is a yearling, bred to be a winner. The horse has been a winner, only 211,000, but in weaker races, he's stepping up too much. I can't use him. The only way I use him is a very deep superfecta gimmick in the bottom, if I did like an all, but worthy of conversation. Better than the 1. Flavor's the number 3, Mike Maker's horse again. Very impressed with the way the horse won at Saratoga. I watched that race a few times. He had his ears pricked up. He won like the wind blows. He never was headed. I think he's going to have a tactical presence here. He's not as fast as some of the others in the race, but because he ran that 103, it intrigued me, and I had to take a look at it. But after further review, when I went deeper into the race, I decided on not using him because there are many other quality older horses in this race who are much more worthy at this purse. The 4, March to the Arch, is a 7-year-old gelding from Mark Cassie. Little on the downswing of his career, capable of a powerful close, won't be there early. It's going to be 25, 30, 35 to 1. A veteran gelding who's won at the distance several times. There's always a chance for a late arrival if somebody doesn't give their best shot or if he gets the perfect trip. So if you're going to use him, I would prefer to use him in superfectas deeper or in a deep box. Highly unlikely to win, but you're getting a fat number on a deep closer. Number 5, Hit the Road. We've reached my top choice. When a horse comes from the West Coast, I study harder and I say, okay, he's got to adapt to the soil. He's got to adapt, to the turf course. But turf course is a little different from a dirt or synthetic oval. I look at behavior. Everything's on the West Coast, Del Mar, Santa Anita. He went to Keeneland, was overmatched, but he got a ton of money that day. They laid him off. He's running grade 1s. He won a grade 1 at Santa Anita. Dan Blacker is a respected trainer from a good barn. This is a 5-year-old who's improving. when you see a triple-digit buyer in consecutive races, then they put him in a grade 1 versus extremely seasoned horses, and you see the fact that he has a nose for the wire, winning 6 out of 11 times, and he has won a grade 1 before, and that work. He worked January 16th and 58-2 on the weeds. Then he comes back on the 23rd, a week later, and he runs handily in 101-2. This horse is fit. So I'm taking a shot here, sitting off 4-5 deep, good ride. Gaffleon gets the mount. I think he's excited to run this horse. I'm going to take a shot at him at 8 to 10-1. Hit the Road's my top choice, and a must use, in my opinion, in the pick 4. Colonial Lamb, the 6, last year's winner. Tons of respect for Todd Pletcher. Multiple grade 1 wins. Irad Ortiz is a plus. He's always a plus. You are selecting a horse that hasn't been out in 7 months. His last race was a dud. He was well bet. He was wide on the turn. When I watched the race, I said, my God, the horse had nothing. I was thinking he was hurt. So they laid him off. So I said, let me look at his workouts. He's working well. And when you work that well and you've beaten the caliber that he's beaten before, he's got to be considered. I trust Pletcher. I trust Ortiz. Colonial Lamb's my second choice, the 6, under the 5. Got to use him in the pick 4, too. Number 7, Doswell, also came into the race on an approved for Barclay Tag, 4 for 4 on the money in 21. He does step up considerably. He's got speed, but I think he's going to be part of the speed. If he gets out, that's going to be toasted, and he's going to flatten out in a stretch. So I can't use number 7, Doswell. Number 8, Sacred Life. And, I heard Johnny, talk about him as well. Got to respect Chad Brown. Every time he's in a race, especially on the weeds, you got to respect what he's done and what he can do. 16 for 22 on the turf, 15 exactas. So I said, let me watch some of these races. You know what? Horse is a hard hitter, a 7-year-old hard hitter. So by default, I had to use him in my superfectas and in my pick 4. He's my 4th choice. The 8 is my 4th choice. So I've given you my top to 5, my second choice to 6. I'm going to go over my 3rd choice right now. John is going to be happy that I'm going to give him a real strong mention here. Like I said, Mike Maker's got 4 in a race. I think this is his best shot. I like a horse that's developing and has that look that he's sitting on a big race. He does. I agree with John. I thought in the beginning, he was more of a grade 2 horse, honestly, but I think he's capable of getting to the level and winning a grade 1. He's my 3rd choice. I like his tactical speed. I was a little concerned because of the behavior sometimes. He's had a plethora of jockeys on him. So you got a horse that's 23 races lifetime. He's won 6 on the turf, but they've changed the rider constantly. Now, I do like Rispoli. He knows he's intelligent. He finds room. I think he's going to be in that catbird seat, 3rd or 4th. And he has the capability of winning because he's improving. But I'm slightly worried about him being eyeballed and how he's going to respond, the horse, not the jockey. So he was my 3rd choice because I like the 5 and the 6 more. And Field Passes, the 9 is my 3rd choice, just over the 8, who I just went over. And I'm going to round out the field. Channel Cat, seasoned veteran, never won at the distance. That's a red flag to me. Would never put him to win. Can't ask a horse to do something he's never done before. Rosario's a plus. They're giving him blinkers off. They're going equipment change, but never winning at a distance. Even though he's 15 for 30 on the turf, he's run some battles in grade 1s. He had opportunities to win, and he didn't win. So with that, I got to throw Channel Cat out. Cross-border, the 11, Mike Maker horse again. You know, I love horses like this. English Channel Daddy, 8-year-old, just a hard hitter, 20 for 29 on the weeds. Cut below in Byers, has run some big races, but again, in this race, as a cushion for Mike Maker, I don't think this horse could win. I'd be shocked if he does. So there's other horses that are more appealing at a price. There you go. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Well, Daryl had one question to
Yeah.
us. Do you take field size into consideration when you bet your exactas, triples, and supers? And I do, but you're saying that the bigger fields make them difficult to hit, and I'll agree to an extent, but they also make them pay more. So I'd rather a big field and narrow it down. You know, the way I structure my wagers, you know, I never box. Okay, boxing, in my opinion, puts you behind the 8 ball. It's 5 losing bets off the bat. If you box 3 horses, you know, between that and the takeout in the long run, you can't win. It's mathematically impossible. So I don't box. I don't reverse. I play the game very differently than most people. And it's one of the reasons I've been able to beat it for many, many years. You know, there are just certain things you just can't overcome in the long run. You'll get grinded out. Boxing is one of those things. So, you know, big fields, I love it. I'll take 1 horse on top of 2 or 3 horses in the exacta. I don't reverse them. You know, when I say a cold exacta, I'll take a cold exacta. That means just one number, 6-9. That's it. No 9-6, no 6, nothing else. 6-9. And usually when I do that, I'll bet the 6 to win, and I'll bet 6-9 cold. If I take a triple, I'll take 6 with 9 with 3, 4, 5, or whatever the horses I like. You know, 6 with 9 with 3, 4, 5 with all in the super, because in the super, in the 4th slots, the only place you'll ever see me using all. And even there, sometimes I'll try and throw a horse or 2 out, but I will occasionally go all, because I don't think anybody can handicap for 4th in the United States, because you don't know who pulled up, who eased up, who didn't ride out, whatever. There's a million ways you could lose 4th. So I don't, you know, even try to handicap for 4th. So yeah, you're right. Does it make it more difficult to hit? Absolutely. But if you narrow it down and you're right, you get paid. And to me, that's what it's all about. You know, everybody on this show and everybody who plays this game is going to be wrong more than they're going to be right.
When you're done, John, I want to add to this, to answer the question as well.
Absolutely.
But I'll wait for you to be done.
We're all going to be wrong more than we're going to be right. So, you know, how do you negate that? By when you're right, making it count and you know, taking down a nice hit. So no mention of the 12 by either of us. Yeah, we both mentioned it, never surprised. I didn't like him from out there. I thought he was going to have, you know, I thought there was enough pace to keep him honest in there. I think Gio felt the same way about it.
You know, as I was on the end page of my form, I'll elaborate on why I didn't use Never Surprised. His last was absolutely brilliant, ears pricked up. It was just for easy, a waltz versus cheaper. He's a 4-year-old facing very seasoned veterans, something I don't like to see unless you're a champ. Son of Constitution, he's going to be on the lead, and he's got Sayaz, but I just think this race reeks of a race that in the final 8th, there's going to be a charge from the back, and the speed horses, especially if he's on the lead, he's going to get swallowed up.
Any other questions? Or you want me to say something else about the supers and the exactas and the big question?
I wanted to, John, before you answer the new question, whoever asked about the size of the field, I just want to make my point. Can I make my point about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, regarding field size. Now, here's where John and I differ a little. I respect John's ferocity in terms of being defiant. You can't kiss all the girls. And, you know, when you're convinced, and I bet horses like that too. But I've learned in my time, if I like a horse convincingly, and I'm really convinced with a horse for the exacta, I may go 80-20, 75-25 in my bet because I don't want to lose on a photo. You know, I don't want to run a big effort and get caught by a head or a neck. But one thing that when I went into this race, remember the first thing I said? I said, Jesus Christ, I was a head scratcher. What a competitive field. And folks, I'm a mental case. I watched more film, more replays than anybody you've ever met. All right. When I say I handicap. I really spent hours. I watch the behavior. And one of the things I look for in large fields, particularly on the turf, but on dirt as well, I want to see how the horse behaved. How is his step in the midst of a big field? What post did he break from? You know, was he one that made a big run and he went right through? Or is one that was timid and sort of got shooken up because he eyeballed another horse? So behavior is important. The trip is always important. But in big fields like this, it's just because I'm an action guy. I'm going to play a very deep superfecta box. I'm going to pay a triple box because I see there's others at a price that could win. Johnny gave you one of them. You know, I mean, he's third on my list. So I'm 5, 6, 9, 8. I'm going to box that in a super because it's going to pay big balloons if I do hit it. And I'm also going to use the other horses who I said have a puncher's chance to hit the board in a bottom gimmick. And my throwouts are throwouts. That's it.
See, and just to contrast that a little, and you know, I'll be the first to say everybody should do what works for them and what they're comfortable doing. See, I have a philosophy, and I'm not scared to employ it. You know, and it's a kind of a little saying that I say. I believe that to beat this game, you have to have a philosophy that goes against human nature. Most people want to cash as many tickets as they can. I don't. I want to cash less but win more. Okay, and the meaning of that is, okay, box 5, 6, 8, 9. No. Okay, that means I got it for $1. Or if I'm playing $10 box for 120, whatever it is, that means I got it for $10. No. Okay, let's use the $1, $6, 5, or what, $12 for a 4-horse box, whatever it is. I don't even know off the top of my head because I don't box. But what I would do if I like 5, 6, 8, 9, okay, never would I box it. I'll take the one I like the best, and I'll take $3 box. That one, 5 over 6, 8, 9, or 6 over 5, 8, 9, whatever it is. And whatever that box cost, no, I'll take one horse on top and use that same amount of money that way. And in the long run, maybe there'll be that one day that the $1 exacta hits and pays $400 and the $1 triple hits. But over the course of a year or a meet, or a career of betting horses, which this is a marathon. This is not a sprint, this game, okay? Tomorrow is not Saturday, not the end all be all, okay? When you play for a living like I did for many years, if I didn't win, I didn't eat. I couldn't afford to box. Why? Because if I'm right on my top choice, I'm giving away money. I'm leaving money on the table that I could take with me. I'm not making my black column as big as it could be and my red column as small as it could be. And I think in the long run, to look at your stats at the end of the year and say, hey, I won 50,000, I won 100,000, I won 200,000, I won 80,000, whatever it is, in order to be able to do that consistently, you have to be willing to cash less, but win more. And that's by making as few losing bets as possible.
One thing I want to ask you, John, and for the rest of the folks, good piece you just ran. On multiple race wagering, pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 6s, your thought process is different. You'll go 4 or 5 deep in a race as long as you manage your ticket, you're saying. And if you love a horse like Speaker's Corner, you're going to single him. But
Right.
That means you have the ability to go 4 or 5 deep. I want to understand that in those races.
Right, 100%. Like there are races, I don't like to go all in those races because I always try and cut a couple of horses out because it's that same philosophy. If I'm going to go all and use 12 horses and have it for $1, let's say I'm betting a pick 5 for $1 or $2. I say, well, if I could cut these 3 horses out of this race and these 2 horses out of that race and not go all, well, now instead of having it for $1, I could have it for $2 or $3. And if it's a pick 5 that pays 20 grand, now instead of collecting 20 grand, I'm collecting 60 grand. Okay, 60 grand erases a lot more losses than 20 grand does. Okay. And that's it's hard to embrace that philosophy because natural human nature is I want to use everybody I think can win and I want to cash as many tickets as possible. You know, I had a friend of mine who's a pretty good handicapper. One day he's rooting for a horse. The horse wins. He goes, yes, I hit the pick 5. I'm like, what'd you have? He goes, look, hit the pick 5. He bet a 50-cent pick 5 for $360. He got back $424. I'm like, that's not a win, my man. That's not a win. You could have bet 360 on an even money and got back 720 and had 1 race to sweat out. Never mind 5, where you could have got you're screaming to win $40 on a $360 bet. Makes no sense. The long run, those kind of bets will kill you, man. You cut your own throat. You put yourself behind the 8 ball between takeout, cheating, all the obstacles that you have in this game. To add obstacles to yourself by using too many horses and structuring tickets the wrong way and making unnecessary bets and playing every race at every track, walking in and looking wherever they're going to post and handicapping for 5 minutes and boxing horses. I guarantee you, all right, you lose over the course of a year. You're in the red, significantly in the red. You're donating money. You're helping me. Thank you. If that's what you do, because you can't win. There are so many people on social media that are posting tickets and they post their wins. Very few people post their losses. I like to post my losses because I like talking about tough beats and what could have been. But I used to post tickets. Very rarely now will I post a ticket because it's really nobody's business. But the thing about it is, there are so many people that post tickets, and just by looking at their tickets, even wins, I could tell you, I'll bet 100,000 against 10,000 that at the end of the year, we look at this guy's ADW, he's in the red. Guaranteed, significantly, just by the way that they bet. Hammer, like I said, he understands that early on. We talked about that. He's one of the few, very few, that are in the black. And you have to understand that. You have to have those 3 elements. You have to be able to handicap and do your homework. You can't come unprepared. You have to know how to manage your money, and you have to know how to structure wages. And,
Yeah, well,
boxing,
John,
boxing is for the ring, not for
again, but John, good point. Now, one of the things I want to share with the audience is that, that picture I'm painting before every race, whether it's a maiden special at Saratoga or grade 1 Triple Crown race, I look at it as an opportunity. If I'm defiant with someone, then I'm only going to win. I want to go win, and I'll surround exotics with him winning or her winning.
No, listen, I understand. I get it.
Some races have the picture of, man, I'm scratching my
I
head.
get
I
it.
think, yeah.
I get it, but you still got to bet smart. You still got to bet smart. If you can be right in that race, you could make a score. Instead of having a $1 exacta that pays $800, you could have a $3 or $4 exacta that pays $800, or have it for 10 or 20 or whatever the bankroll is. And I understand. And what'll probably happen now is Gio will hit a $1 exacta, a $1 triple, box in that race and get back like $6 grand, and I'll look foolish because But the thing of it is, it doesn't faze me one bit because I know. It's a marathon. At the end of the day, I'm going to get you. That's it. If you're confident enough in what you do and how you do it, and I've been doing it a long time, you know how it's going to end up in the long run. And the long run is what matters. Who laughs first doesn't mean anything. Who laughs last means everything.
Well, we got to do the big race, and then for you guys, I want to give you 2 undercard races I want to talk about. I'm just going to tell you I like, but let's take care of the grade 1 $3 million Pegasus monstrous older horses race. John, you've been leading it all, so you started.
Well, I can tell you this. I think the race will be decided by one man. I think one guy has the key to the entire race, and that's Irad Ortiz. And I will say this, as good of a rider as Irad is, and he does get into the zone on big days. And when he gets into that zone, he's deadly. But since his knee injury and since he's come back at Gulfstream, even when he wins and he's won his share races already, I personally don't think he's riding in top form and don't like the way he's riding. He's not getting down as low as he used to. He's sitting high on his horses. I'm not the only one who notices it. And I don't like the way he's riding. Now, maybe he's still a little hurting in his knee. Maybe he'll get in the zone Saturday and it won't matter. I do think he's on the best and fastest horse, and I think he holds the key to the race, and I'll explain why. I think that Nixco, we know, has to go to the lead. Okay, if there's a nick in his armor at all, it's when he doesn't get the lead or doesn't get things his own way, he loses. The Saudi Cup, he didn't get the lead. Charlatan took it to him. He packed it in. The Met Mile, they went after him early. He packed it in. Nixco has never won a fight. Never. He's only won loose on the lead and drawing away. So that's their plan. He's aggressive as heck in the morning. He's on his game at the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. I watched him train in the morning. I even somebody told me that he was so keyed up in the morning. A lot of people thought that Johnny rode for second on that poor horse who died. Name escapes me. The Derby winner. I just went Medina Spirit. A lot of people thought Medina Spirit was ridden for second by Johnny. That wasn't the truth at all. Okay. I know that for a fact. I was out for dinner with some of the owners 2 nights before the race, and they were talking about Medina Spirit, and they were like, "Hey, we would love to be on the lead, absolutely love it, but we don't think we can get the lead off Nixco. He's fast, so we're not going to suicide duel ourselves into the ground. We're going to just try and sit off him, and hopefully he can't get that 1.25 mile distance." But he did get it, and he was alone on the lead, and they made their run, and it is what it is. But no way was the plan to ride for second. They were hoping to win. They just didn't think they could go with him. Life is Good can go with him, okay? I think he's flat out faster. I think on paper he's faster to the 1/2 mile. The question becomes, Nixco with Rosario goes from the rail. Irad breaks on the outside. Does he put it to him or does he not? Now, I could tell you this. If we go back in time, Angel Cordero, I know Angel. I know what he would do in this situation. I can guarantee it. If I could bet on this, I would bet on that instead of betting on the race. If Angel Cordero in his prime was riding Life is Good, out of the gate, he would speed pop the field, be in front by 2, move over, take the rail from Nixco. The race is over. Come catch me if you can. And if Irad does that, okay, if Irad is smart enough to say, you know what, I'm on the fastest horse, on a track that's kind to speed, on a horse that's ready, and he goes and gets over going into that first turn, race is over. Race is for second. Go to the window if you got Life is Good. Get your phone ready to see how much you win, because the race is over. I just don't know that he's that smart or that clever or that aggressive or that gutsy. Angel Cordero, I know, was. I don't know. I think the race goes through him. If he figures, okay, I'm on the best horse, I'm on a really fast horse, I'll sit on Nixco, I'll let him go, and I'll take him when I want, he's making a huge mistake. You're going to let a fast quality horse get brave on a lead on you and have to, run him down. And then if it is hard to run him down and you do get him, now you got to worry about somebody getting you because you had to use your horse to get him. No, you got to win the race early if you're riding Life is Good. And the race goes through, in my opinion, Irad's decision. I think that decides how the race runs. I don't think on the square, any of the other horses are good enough to reel those 2 in. And it could easily be a merry-go-round race when everybody's saying, well, you know what? They're going to kill each other and set it up for somebody else. And it does look like that could happen. And we may finally see that unfold that way. I will say this. Dallas Stewart has 2 horses in the race, and he has a tendency historically to run big and come flying late in big races at big prices when you don't expect them to. But a lot of times it's for second and third, and like in the Kentucky Derby a couple of times, and he doesn't get the money. I don't think either of his horses are good enough to win. I think Life is Good is the best horse, and I'm hoping Irad does that. And for that reason, I would use Life is Good, not Knicks Go. Twofold. I think he's the better horse on the square. I think he's the faster horse on the square, and I think if Irad rides him right, he can beat him. And my fear is that he may not ride him right, and Knicks Go gets the lead, he sits off him, and he wires him up by 3 again, and I look like a fool because that's horse racing. But I like Life is Good a lot better, and I do know that when Bob Baffert had Life is Good, okay, and he made his debut at Del Mar. And a lot of people were talking about it. That other horse he had, Concert Tour, and another couple of horses. He never thought, nobody in the barn thought that anybody was in Life is Good's league. Okay, when they really thought he was a high quality horse, and I'm sure that Pletcher thinks the same thing. I don't know that, but I know that when he was out in California, they thought he was really the goods, and he's living up to that. Now, and I think he's proved that he can fight, because when he ran against Jackie's Warrior in Saratoga off the layoff, he was stalking on the outside. Mike Smith rode a very strange race, and at the end, he was kind of getting after Jackie's Warrior, who was tough to beat sprinting at that time. And I think another jump or two, he gets him. And I think if Mike would have been more aggressive with him, he certainly would have beat him. So I think he can fight and will fight, where I don't know that about Knicks Go. So to me, Life is Good is the play. Now, if I'm gonna say, well, obviously, I hope most of you realize you can't use Knicks Go and Life is Good. You got to use one or the other. Take a stand and use one or the other, whichever one you like better, or however you think the race is going to go forward. But if you're only going to use one of them, or if you weren't going to use either one of them and you like another couple of horses, then you can go as deep as you want. But in my particular case, I like Life is Good. I'm going to use him. But like I said to Hammer, Endorsed intrigues me. I think Endorsed is going to come from off the pace. I don't think Rispoli is going to want anything to do with running early with those 2 horses. And I don't think Mike Make is going to say, hey, we're coming out of these sprints, let's show some speed and go. No, I think those sprints have that horse sharp. And I know that horse can close. So I think they're going to let him go, take back, make a run over a track he's won at. Okay. And he's come from off the pace before. He's sharp out of those sprints. I think he's going to be coming and running late. So at 20, maybe 30 to 1, who knows? I'm going to use him, and Life is Good. I'm going to go back at Life is Good, who hopefully is the second choice to Knicks Go and offers a little more value. And I'm going to use Endorsed in my pick 4s and pick 5s. And like I said, I can afford to do that because I'm narrow in the other races and I've got a single. I'm not going to use Knicks Go. I realize that he could win. He could absolutely humble me. I'll probably know into the first turn whether or not that's going to happen. If he's not on the lead, I'm pretty sure I'm going to win. If he's out there by 2 or 3 lengths by himself, I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose, and I'll already be heading to the parking lot, which is very easy to do at Gulfstream. Those of you that have been there and know, you can just walk right off the apron into the parking lot and be out of there in 2 minutes. And that's what I'll do. I'll be watching him cross the wire in the rearview mirror of the car if I wind up going, which I'm kind of on the fence about. But that's really how I see the race. I think it runs through Irad Ortiz. I think he's got the keys to the Pegasus World Cup in his hand. What's he going to do with them? I don't know the answer to that. And he may not know the answer to that. He may be like, well, I'll see the break and see how it goes. And, we'll see what Todd says. Mistake, mistake, mistake. When you're on the fastest horse, what do? You use his best weapon, speed. If I was a rider, which I'm a little too big, but if I was a rider, I would pop out of that gate as fast as I could, get over to the rail, clear, and then worry about slowing him down a little bit and settling and getting in the rhythm. but I wouldn't worry about that until I was in front by 2. And if I lost, I lost, but that's what I would do. Yeah, Kevin, I'll talk about that race a little bit. Gio, how do you see what is it, the 6th running now? You're the
sixth running. This is the
6th
6th running
of the Pegasus World Cup.
Okay, and John, like I said, I value your opinion tremendously, and we're in agreement with one thing and one thing only, tremendously. And I'm going to share some history about Nick Scott that some of you may not even be aware of, but I like Life is Good a lot too. And you made a good point about Irad Ortiz, because Irad Ortiz over the years just ran with conviction, aggressive. I'm the best. No stage is too big. And he just was a great rider. He still is. But since he's been hurt and he's been back, he's been a little different. It's noticeably different. But the fact that he has, and now the whole world's watching, and literally tomorrow we're going to have the whole East Coast is going to be buried in a snowstorm. All the tracks are going to be closed. Everybody's going to be betting Gulfstream, and everybody and their sister's cousin is going to be watching this race. All right. So I'm going to break down the race the way I painted a picture in my head. The fact that Life is Good got the 4-hole, and Ortiz has something to prove. When you got people questioning you, and now you have the stage to prove everybody that I still got it, I'm still the same guy that's been unrelenting for the last 5 or 6 years. He's got the fastest horse. I mean, the horse got dynamic speed. He's faster than Nick Scott. He's training wonderfully. He's blown smoke out of his ears in his workouts. He never went 9 furlongs, which somehow made me look a little deeper, but he would have went 10 furlongs if he didn't get hurt before the Kentucky Derby. And when he was running in the Derby prep races at Santa Anita, the San Felipe, he ran like the wind blows. This horse was ready. Unfortunately, he got hurt. So now he's 4 years old and he's facing older horses. He's bred to be a winner, and he will win this race because Irad got something to prove. And I agree with John. He's got to be, if we get unlucky and he takes a bad step out of the gate, that's a different story. It made me sick to my stomach when I saw Nick Scott got the fortuitous trip that he got in the Breeders' Cup Classic, which is 1.25 miles, 10 furlongs, something he never done before. But when Art Collector didn't go out, Medina Spirit from the 8-hole didn't go out, Rosario just coasted with the horse. And sure, he's got the speed. He galloped. He had too much in front of him. He was never threatened. Nick Scott doesn't want to catch anybody, and he doesn't want to be eyeball. And unfortunately, he's going to be chasing Life is Good. And I really think that's going to be to his downfall. So I like Life is Good convincingly. I don't think the owners want to take him to Dubai. He's here to win, and he's going to have a tremendous 4-year-old campaign, a big-time 4-year-old campaign. It may be the foundation for him to ultimately be seen in the Breeders' Cup Classic in November. But let's talk a little more about Nick Scott, then I'll tell you who I like for second, because I do not like Nick Scott for second. And I agree with John. You can't use both in your pick 4s. You got to be decisive one way or another. To me, it was easy. Nick Scott, and John and I chuckled about this because his junior year as a juvenile raced very well. Then in 2019, he was like an allowance horse. He couldn't find his way out of a paper bag. He was hanging like a chandelier. He sucked. But all of a sudden, in 2020, he's 3 for 3. In 21, he's 5 for 7. Multiple grade 1s, running like the wind blows, outrunning everybody, triple-digit buyers. You know what? I know it was a few months ago, but that waltz he had in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and now he's turning back an 8th to 9 furlongs. He's not going to get the lead, and when he's chasing, I think he's going to be vulnerable. Is he good enough to win? If life is good, doesn't get out, or if something catastrophic happens, the same thing can happen. He could waltz around 9 furlongs and win because they're the 2 fastest horses in the race. I think Life is Good is capable of winning at a big number, and I'm going to be decisive with him. My second choice, however, because I'm going to jump to him, is Sir Winston. Now, let me tell you something. Remember I told you I'm a maniac. I watch film. I watch replays more than anybody. I'm 59 years old. I've been handicapping and watching races since I'm 17. And more of the availability because of online replay availability, I watch him to a greater point. And you take a look at Sir Winston. Mark Casse brings him to Canada after his last race in September of 20. He takes a year off, 1 year on the shelf, fresh legs, trains him. And in Canada at Woodbine, the horse, I mean, go watch the races. He wins and runs sort of effortlessly. Just he's galloping. He wants to run. So now they go grade 3, grade 2, grade 3. Competitive, knocking on the door, big win, money every single time is an indication. I think he's got the pedigree for a mile and a quarter, let alone a mile and an eighth. He could be sitting on his best race. And if the pace is sizzling, I don't think he's going to catch Life is Good, because Life is Good is just too good. But if Life is Good doesn't take the 9 furlongs, Sir Winston could be relentlessly charging deep in the stretch, and it could be within a half length. He could catch him, or he could be behind. Or at the very worst, if Life is Good runs away with the race, Sir Winston, in my opinion, is a perfect horse, as long as he takes the Gulfstream part, because he did all his great running at Woodbine. And remember, this is a horse that won the Belmont Stakes. Let me repeat. He won the Belmont Stakes, okay? That's the year he beat Tacitus. I forgot who else was favored in that race, but when you win the Belmont Stakes, second in the Peter Pan, then you come back and you're not yourself. They lay you off for a year and you come back running beautifully. And throw in the fact that his last work, January 22nd, Prairie Meadows, 47-4 breezy. His line of work says he's ready. He's got the perfect layoff. I'd be shocked if he runs flat. I think he's going to have a lot of kick in the step. If you're going to watch anybody deep in the stretch, especially after the quarter pole, look for number 6, Sir Winston. To round up the race, I was torn between, do I keep, Knicks go to hang on for third, or do I go to the horse that John talked about, the 8, Endorsed? I like Endorsed. I like the fact that there's been progression. He's raced at the distance. He doesn't have a nose for the wire. It's Mike Baker's horse. I trust him, but he's a 6-year-old who's better younger. I trust Rispoli. And you know what? When you look at the rest of the field, I can't find anybody else who's got the potential to make noise at a price. So I'm Life is Good, Sir Winston, and then I'm torn between Knicks Go and Endorsed. If Knicks Go's out of the money, then we all make a lot of money with our triples. But I respect Knicks Go enough to think that he may hang on for a share. But in my opinion, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I think Sir Winston is going to pass Knicks Go in the stretch. And Life is Good, your winner. Oh, and the smallest possibility, if Life is Good can't get the 9 furlongs, because he's never done it before, I think he could get 10 furlongs. But the fact he's never done it before, and if Sir Winston runs the best race of his life, they could be a half a length or a head apart or a neck apart. But I still think Life is Good's going to win by a couple.
All right. We've gone 2 hours, and that's a little bit longer than I think any of us wanted to go.
Yeah, but I got 2 on the undercard. I needed to share. But
okay, I'll let you do that, but we're going to run out of time. So, as far as the 8th race, Kevin, I can afford, because my ticket is so narrow, to spread in that race, and I really haven't studied that race hard yet, so I don't have an opinion on it. But I did look at it, and it looked to me like a spread race. I was very intrigued by that new horse that Brad Cox acquired just one time at first glance, but then I looked and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of speed in here. I'm probably going to wind up spreading and using 5 or 6. There's 10 horses in there. That's one of those races where I could be 5, 6, 7 deep. Gio, just tell us who the other two horses you like. No breakdown, no nothing. Just,
Yeah.
just tell them who they are.
I'll be very brief. On the undercard in the fourth race, which is a maiden special weight, $60,000, 7 furlong race. I think the money is going to go on a couple of the wrong horses. I'm on the 3, No Nay Franklin with Julian Leperoux for Patrick Bayacone. Horse is working on the turf after a race off a layoff, 3 months. I think he's could be tactical, and he's going to be right there in the thick of things at a price. I'm playing the 3, No Way Franklin, with the 12, Congressman, a first-timer for Pletcher. Sayers is in the saddle, $275,000 Ewing purchase. He's working smartly. I just think Sayers is going to bolt out of the gate. The 12 is going to have the lead as far as he goes, and I'm thinking the 3 could catch him. Could be a sizable exact. That's in race 4. In race 5, which is the Turf Marathon, very, very good race to bet. When I see 1.5 miles on the weeds, I dig down deep into 3 things. Have they done it before? The pedigree, and who's on the horse, and how big is the field? I come up with an overwhelming exacta and a triple. I like the 6, Beautiful Lover, over the 4, Always Shopping. You'll probably get about $20 on a deuce, but that's the way I see the race shopping out. They're the most likely horses to be at the wire, probably convincingly. The 6 and the 4, Beautiful Lover and Always Shopping. And my third horse is the horse on the rail, Irado Tees for Christophe Clement. Another horse that's proven at the distance. So if you want to make some money in race 5, your triple is 6-4-1. You'll be thanking me later.
Okay, I have no opinion on those races because I have not studied them as of yet. So, any questions before we wrap up on anything that we talked about, or any betting general questions, anything like that, strategy, this, that, any particular horse you want to ask me about, or anything like that? Otherwise, we'll wrap up and call it a night.
Yeah, and of course, if anybody wanted to ask me anything, sorry if I'm a little loud.
Yeah.
It's my enthusiasm. I can't help.
All right. Why do trainers train turf horses on dirt? Well, they use the turf course less than they use the dirt course because it wears different and they could wear it out. So they just get used to training on the dirt because they use it a lot more. They do breeze on the turf and train on the turf, but they got to keep the turf right for the afternoon. So most of the time they'll use the dirt.
Yeah, and when they're training on the turf, notice what the trainers do. It's often around the dogs. You're going to see the D in parentheses. That means they're racing around cones. It's for fitness, right, John? That's what I think.
No, it's to protect the course most of the time. It helps with fitness because they're going wide, but it's to protect the course because they'll race on the course. They'll take the dogs down, usually. Listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate all the support. If you like the webinar, show us some love on social media. We always appreciate that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will get a replay out either later tonight or in the morning for anybody that's missed it, or if you want to just have it to be able to refer back to or whatever. I mean, you just delete it if you saw it already and you don't need it. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Enjoy the races. Remember, the best opinion is yours. Don't be afraid to go after it. And any questions, always, I'm easy to find right through the website. You could email me. I get it all. I never leave anybody hanging. Gio as well is accessible. You could always get to him through me. So hopefully we can have some fun on Saturday, and hopefully we can make some money and see if we were right. I'm still undecided, like I said, about whether I'm going or not. So you may.
Hey, John, you're going.
No, I don't know. You may see me there, you may not. Listen.
I know, but if you're home, you're going to watch it in your pool or whatever. If it's warm enough, you're going to be on your screen.
The best seat in the house is on your couch, man. As you get older, you start realizing. And I'm somebody who used to go to track every day, so I just don't anymore. But that's that. So thank you, everybody. Really, much appreciated. Ciao for now. We'll be in touch.
Nobody does it better.